Hi guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a folder by Schrade, the SCH218L. I think it's been out for a while, but I only got this knife about a month and a half ago, and I've been enjoying it ever since. An all black stonewash blade handle. If you're interested at all in a knife that looks like this, and you want to know the details about it, on a budget blade that fits my hand quite well, I think it'll fit yours too. Stick around, we're going to do a full review. SCH218L by Schrade. This Schrade knife, when I saw it in the store, just sort of spoke to me and said, buy me. That's probably because I really like black stonewash. It does something that just, I don't know, I'm so attracted to it. It makes the blade look really good. It even just regular stonewash, I'm very much attracted to. And black stonewash throughout an entire knife, except for the pocket clip, really is a good finish that I like to see an awful lot. You can see this liner lock just flicks, no problem, just flies open like nobody's business. But it's a flipper, and so the flipper is a little bit weak. It's because the detent isn't terribly strong. You can get it to flip, if you do it just right, and it works, but a little bit of wrist action makes it work every time. Whoop, that time it didn't. So, when I'm trying to stay within the frame and everything of the camera, it's not always easy to concentrate on three things at once. The flipping and the lining up of the shot and everything. So I'll tell you right out the front, right out the gate, the one thing that I don't like very much about this knife is that the detent is a little bit too weak. If the detent was just a bit stronger, it would be a blade that would be phenomenal. Now it's merely a good knife. Merely. It's a good knife and I like it and I carry it because I enjoy it. I like black stonewash. I like recurve, especially when a recurve is not super crazy. This one's like a nice recurve. Hollow grind works for me. Drop point, false wedge, looks nice. Big belly on here. Sharp tip on it. A handle that has a swell at the back. Swell at the back. I like that too because that fits in the palm of the hand quite well. Very comfortable, at least in my hand. It's very, very comfortable. The aluminum scales are quite nice. I like this work that they put into the aluminum here. It's not just a nice decorative touch, but it helps grip with the knife. The handle is made in such a way that you can have just about any grip you want on here. Somebody with an extra large size hand is going to find this knife fitting their hand just fine. I've got a large size hand, and if I am set up right at the front of the handle here, I've got lots left. So there's lots of room for more hand in this knife. And yet it's not so swollen up here that it's way too big for somebody with a medium size hand. Somebody with small hands, adult small, would probably find this knife a little bit too big, but just about everybody else I think will find a comfortable grip on this knife. The thumb rise here has some gentle jimping on it, and yet it's effective to give you a little bit of extra traction, and so you can do a lot of nice slicing and cutting with the knife that way. The pocket clip here is not in the way. It doesn't create hot spots, not for me anyway, and I can hold it really well. It's a one-position pocket clip, tip down right side only, but it's a super deep pocket clip. You've got about a quarter of an inch, a little less than a quarter of an inch sticking out, and it's black stonewash, so people aren't going to see it that much anyway. If you beat up this pocket clip a bit and turn it into sort of a stonewash look as well, it's going to just hide on your, especially if you're wearing black jeans. It'll just hide there, and people will have a tough time noticing that you've got a knife in your pocket. All Torx construction everywhere. All of these screws are in good condition. Nothing's been stripped out or dinged up or banged up. They're all good. I like that. Your pocket clip covers the pivot on this side, but that's okay because that side of the pivot is not adjustable. You can't put a screw in there anyway. Your total adjustment is on the left side here. I've not had to adjust mine at all. There's no blade play back and forth or up and down. It's nice. No problem there. We've got 2 nylon washers. Whoop, there we go. We've got 2 nylon washers in this knife. Let me tell you something, because I know I'm harping on this theme of nylon washers. I was watching a Jim Skelton video this week, and he was at a custom knife maker shop, a high-end custom knife maker shop. The least expensive knife this guy makes is $5,000. And he was putting together one of his knives, one of those screwless designs. Well, it has screws, but all the screws are hidden. He actually adjusts them by going inside, with really fancy tools and everything. But he's putting together this $8,000 knife, and guess what, guys? It's got nylon washers. Nylon gets a bad rep without a really good reason. We often do that with things that come out. If it was bad back in history, we tend to carry on that idea into the present. 30 years ago, yeah, nylon washers were terrible. 20 years ago, nylon washers weren't that good. Even 10 years ago, I don't know how good they were. But right now, nice new nylon washers can be very good. And I've got no problem with these at all. The knife just flies open, and when you go to close the blade, let me just get it past the one point here. See, it just shuts down with a little bit of a shake. And this isn't a terribly heavy blade. It's cut down quite a bit. The blade thickness, I forgot to measure the blade thickness. I'll get that for you in just a second. This brings up another point that I just have to just laugh at. Here we've got. I'm thinking about knife reviewers. You see some knife reviewers that have, 10, 12, 20,000 subscribers, and they get a knife and do a review, and the only specs they know about it is the specs that they see on the website. They look at the knife and I don't know how thick that is. It looks like it's about. It doesn't cost that much, guys, to buy a measuring device and go like this and say, oh, look at that. That blade is 2 3/4 millimeters thick, which means it's 0.11 inches thick. It's so easy to know exactly the dimensions of something if you just take a little bit of time. Oh, this thing feels like, I don't know, it's like about 6 ounces. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a good knife. Well, it's a little bit heavy. Well, no. You go and weigh it, and you find out it's 4.9 ounces. It's, not a bad knife at all. So, I don't know. It just makes me laugh that there's knife reviewers that get huge followings, and these guys are just guessing about their knives, and they're just giving feelings and not actual data about the knives at all. Feelings are good. I like feelings. This knife feels cool in my hand. I like how, the look is attractive. All this subjective stuff, there's definitely a place for the subjective stuff in reviews. I'm just, picking on the guys when there's objective details like real specs and they can't come up with real specs. It just makes me laugh. Oh, I'm not picking on any individual reviewer. It just makes me laugh. Okay, aluminum handle scales. There's no skeletonization. You'd probably get between 4.5 ounces, 4.3 ounces or something if they skeletonized. But, it's not bad. I don't mind a 5-ounce knife. So when you're getting under 5, 4.9, 4-ounce knife is really good too. This is a big knife. Remember the label of it is SCH218L. There's also a 218. It's a knife that I've found. Actually, let's give you the rest of the specs before we get ahead of ourselves. I was saying that there's objective specs. Let's cover those. Okay, so the knife, when it's open, we got 8.5 inches, 21.5 centimeters. The cutting edge here is 3 9/16, which is 9 centimeters, 3 9/16 inches, that is. The handle length here is not measured. Or did I measure it? Oh, yes. The handle length here is 4 3/4 inches, which is 12 centimeters. And I already gave you the weight, 4.9 ounces, 138, 139 grams, something like that. Ah, just flicked it into my finger. Didn't cut myself because I hit myself that way. Okay, so that's the specs on the knife. That's the details. Actually, there's some more details. Open pillar construction. And this is cool. They even black stonewashed the stop pin. I wish they would have black stonewashed the other two pins as well. That would have been really cool. You know, the standoff pins. Right now, they're just plain simple standoff pins. It works. There's no problem with that. I don't know if I actually said it yet or not. It is a made in China knife, which, you know, Schrade these days makes their knives in China, but they're having some knives made in USA, I just noticed in 2017. So stay tuned to Schrade and see what happens with them. I talked about the jimping. Let's talk about the liner lock. The lockup on the liner lock is very nice on a brand new knife. It's not quite at 50% yet. Lots of room to wear over, and yet the lock is fully engaged. I talked about the blade play already. There isn't any. The fit and finish on this knife, it looks a little bit rough, but that's how stonewash is supposed to look. But the actual fit is pretty good. You know, no problems at all, really. We're talking about a knife that's under $20. Like, I mean, you can find it for $17 US in certain places. Canada, I think it's right around $28, $27 Canadian or something like that. Yeah, we usually have to pay more in Canada. Even if we converted it into American dollars, we'd be paying like $22 American, whereas you can get it for 17. You know, that's just the way it is. So let's do some cut tests. Let's start with some wire. This is a USB cable. Zips through that, no problem. As you can see right there, you can see all the different little colors in that cable, 4-wire cable, so that's good. Let's try some paracord. I like to cut 4 layers of paracord and see how well it zips through that. Oop, I flipped through that a little bit. It didn't cut perfectly smoothly, but obviously it cut through these 4 layers of paracord without any problem. There's the evidence that it is regular 550 7-strand paracord. And, you know, in the slicing kind of cuts, it does that no problem as well. Very good. Let's try some banding here. Now, remember, I'm doing this test after I've played with this knife for a couple weeks. And I've not sharpened it, I've not stropped it, I've not done anything. I've just used the knife. So it's kept its edge pretty good. I didn't talk about the steel yet, or did I? 9CR18 MOV is a reasonable steel. It's, you know, the Chinese alphabet soup steel, but it's a lot like, 9CR18 is a lot like 440C from what I can gather when I read. And in my experience, it feels a lot like that. It keeps an edge pretty good. It's not that hard to put an edge on. So it's, you know, good steel. I like to use it. I have it in a number of knives, and I like how it performs. And Schrade's 9CR18 has performed really well for me. I've got a couple other knives that have it as well. So I like it. It's a good knife that looks good. It feels good. It cuts well. I especially like the looks of it. That's one of my favorite things about this knife. And it performs well enough for me to EDC it. Hopefully I can edit together a reasonable review. I think it was a bit choppy. Last night I had some of the worst pain that I've had in a number of years. I woke up just in sweating like crazy. The pain was just intense, and I got it down, but because of all the drugs I took, my mind is just a little bit scatterbrained today. So I'm trying hard to make a reasonable review. And hopefully I can patch it together with editing, beauty of editing. So there's that knife. If you like this review, please click on like. That's even if you don't particularly like the knife. If you like the review, click on like and stick around as a subscriber. Click on that bell so that you'll be notified of every video, because you don't want to miss the big giveaway that I'm doing at the end of March. That'll be our 1-year anniversary at the end of March. So thank you so much for commenting and sharing and liking and subscribing. And remember, always cut towards your chum and not your thumb.